to today's video. I'm going to chime in with a quick impromptu video. In today's video, this is going to be a quick spiritual update. Now, first things first, I want to say fuck Satan and fuck all his minions. Gang. Now, first things first, I want to say shout out to Art Bell. He did a live stream, a podcast live stream, and he brought the late wife of Adam Levine. You don't know who Adam Levine is. He's basically one of the original founders of the Church of Satan here in California. I think the original location that opened was San Francisco first, and then they opened one in the Los Angeles area. So, you know, San Francisco is the Bay Area. Bay Area is right there, closely connected to Oakland, California, and, you know, other places that's connected to the Bay. I find that interesting because the Church of Satan opened up around like 1972, and my mother was born 1975. So I wonder if that had any effect on how she was brought up. You see what I'm saying? Because that satanic stuff was big, 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 especially back then. You see what I'm saying? And I know it's big right now, but it was really big back then. You see what I'm saying? Because there was so many people trying to push for that movement, or so many people probably kind of had a better understanding of what it meant. But the late wife of Adam Levine, I forgot what her name was in the podcast. I'm going to have to go back and see what her name is. But shout out to her. Sound very intelligent, you know, sound like a very nice woman. But she said she was a Satanist, and she broke it down that a Satanist is not what Hollywood has turned it out to be, what we all think it is. You know, somebody worshiping this red man that got horns coming out of his head that's rocking a pitchfork. She said obviously that's furthest from the truth. She said Satanism is more like worshiping yourself, looking at things like I control my own reality, not some God in the sky, etc., etc., etc. And she also talked about how Jesus died about like what, 2,000 something years ago, something like that, approximately around that time. Jesus died like 2,000 something years ago. I'm guesstimating. And the podcast was last night. It was yesterday, so it wasn't even a whole 24 hours yet. But it was yesterday, a couple hours ago. And yeah, so basically, what was said was she was basically saying like she knows about the Bible and stuff like that, but she don't believe that, or even if she do believe that Jesus died in the Middle East and stuff like that, she said, what does that really have to do with my life today? What does that have to do with what's going on in the world today? What's going on in my life today? You see what I'm saying? So I get where she was coming from. And then she was also talking about children, how they was talking about how Satanists, they always like to attack children, sacrifice children, and things of that nature. And she broke it down, and she said that's actually furthest from the truth. She said that children are actually some like beings that they look up to. Children, and it was something else. I'm not sure if it was animals, because she did mention animals, but it wasn't in that particular light. Like, you know what I'm saying? She was just saying, and I keep looking back because I see somebody over there moving and shit. But you got to be on guard, you know. To be aware is to be alive. You feel me? But anyway, she was saying that people try to paint that narrative that like they attack children and do all that type of stuff. But she was saying no, that children is actually an entity that they look up to in Satanism, because they are like beacons of light. They like hold so much power and stuff like that. And you know, she just gave like a general rundown. But me personally, I'm not necessarily sticking up for Satanism and nothing like that. It's just basically she was giving a different perspective. You know what I'm saying? She was saying when Adam Levine was still alive and stuff like that. She said he was a hardcore Satanist until he died. You know, just from how we perceive it, we think of Satanism is just some weird shit like drinking urine, eating feces, and all that nasty weird shit. And I'm pretty sure it's probably some of that shit is in that, because I never read the Satanic Bible. I heard about it and stuff like that, but excuse me, all that extra nasty shit, I ain't really into all that. But at the same time, I get where she was coming from too, when she talked about what it says in the Bible. It was said that something like if you don't worship God or if you don't obey my commandments or something like that, she was saying that she read something like scripture in the Bible and she was questioning it like, how can this God be about love and stuff like that when you saying you gonna cast me into an eternal lake of fire if I don't believe you died on the cross for me, or if I don't have like everlasting love for you, or something like that. She was saying along those lines, and that was a very valid point. I get like that, like how could God say He love you and all that type of stuff, but He said if you don't do this certain thing, I'm gonna cast you to the lake of fire. So I get what she's saying on that, but she also was saying that when Adam LaVey was alive, and people picked up the Satanic Bible, they either threw it across the room in disgust, or they actually was like, oh, I've been looking for this type of information. You know what I mean? She said that's not supposed to be one or the other. But me personally, like, I guess she was also saying that Satanism is about selfism. It's about humanism, like loving your fellow humans. She was saying she know a lot of Satanists that's not necessarily evil and nothing like that. That's just the side they chose to be on. Just like how she was saying also that she always had to remind herself every day not to kill someone. Now that I found very odd, because like I said, like it's just like Satanism I personally feel it's a lot more deeper than what she was breaking down. I think she was just breaking down the general concept of it, but didn't really get too deep into it, because it was this one dude who called on the show. It was like, let's get deep into it. Like, I want to get deep into the schematics of it, not just the surface level and all that stuff and the shallow end. Let's get to the deep end, you know what I mean? But they hurried up and got him off the call and shit like that. But I think she was giving a general concept about it, but she was saying that she got to remind herself every day not to kill somebody, because she said she wouldn't want nobody to kill her. You see what I'm saying? So it's that type of philosophy, like, you know, if you live by the sword, you die by the sword. It's that type of philosophy. Just all philosophies. No certain thing as a god, and nothing like that, because they don't even necessarily believe in Satan. They just saying they using that energy to try to embody that energy that Satan had as selfism, worship yourself, and all this type of stuff. You know what I'm saying? So that's basically what she was trying to say. You know what I'm saying? And like I said, I'm not sticking up for Satanism or nothing like that. I'm just saying she's giving a different perspective. And it makes sense and all that type of stuff, but I personally feel that she was just only talking about it on a surface level and not on an actual real deep level of what really goes on, because come on, man, we already know they do rituals, they do sacrifice children, but when I feel like they say they sacrifice children, that don't necessarily mean that like that's their target, they want to hurt them and all that. It's probably doing ritualistic periods of points of time. They have to make a sacrifice. That's probably what they do. But I'm not justifying this and all this type of stuff. But they also were saying for the longest that I think it's the federal government. They've been trying to get rid of that certain type of religion, Satanism and Luciferianism, because it's just weird. You know what I'm saying? And it is weird, you know. But like I said, it's a religion that's full of undesirables. But these undesirables, they generate a lot of money. So the fact that they generate a lot of money, the federal government technically has to put up with it. Because you know how the federal government is. They don't give a fuck what it is and all that. If the numbers are there and the demand and the supply and all that stuff is there, they're going to make it happen. But if it ain't no demand and all that type of shit and the numbers ain't there, they ain't going to do nothing about it. So this has always been a numbers game and always been a money game. This monopoly. So wake the day I'm up. More videos coming soon. Gang.